Hi, Regina. This is Monique. I'm really glad we had this chance to schedule a conversation.
Yes, thank you so much for hosting this. I'm excited to talk with you about the 6-2 profile from different types, the manifestor, and I speak from my own as a pure sacral generator.
Yeah, I'm sure I'm going to learn something. I've been really appreciating the work that you're doing, your videos, and also I know you have a class that you've run once and had really wonderful results, especially targeting and helping the 6-2 profile, which is probably, I don't know, one of the more complicated profiles to fulfill, as there's so many things that impact it. So let me hand over to you and maybe explain a little bit about the 6-2 profile and some of the challenges that they may experience, and then I'll ask you some questions.
Great, thank you. Well, actually, the class that I host is for anyone that has a 6 line in their profile because the complexities and the sensitivities that we know personally because of a 6-2 profile, I'm finding that other people with a 6 line in their profile have that similar sensitivities and complexities, which would be the 6-2, the 6-3, and even those that have the 6 line on the conscious side or the red side of the human design chart. And that would be people that are 3-6 or a 4-6 profile. And the complexities of the 6 line is captured right in the keyword, which is role model. I mean, right there, when you think of a role model, it's people that we look up to. They're people that we go to. They're people that we observe and see, whether it's in the media or in our everyday life or as a teacher. We watch them and we see, how do they do things? How do they organize things? How do they speak? How do they manage their life? How do they interact with people when they're could be a little bit triggered or upset? I mean, there's so much that comes under the role model, not just how they do their life professionally, but how they do their life personally, how they care for themselves. I mean, the list goes on. And so that is, as a role model, as someone carrying this 6 line, either on the conscious side or the unconscious side, feels that pressure of almost like perfectionism, that you really, hold a higher standard for yourself. And so,
Wow, that makes so much sense, Regina.
so
Why I always
I
felt
just,
on stage.
yes, yeah. But even after that third phase, so the more you, after the 50 mark of that, the Chiron return, there's 3 phases of the 6 line. There's the, up to 30 years where 6 line people experience a lot of experiences, and they actually, kind of become the wounded healer through relationships, how they're raising their family, maybe there's alcohol, motorcycle accidents, early relationships that, people totally fall on their face, whatever it is. There's usually a lot of life that's lived in the first 30 years. And then the second phase of the 6 line is from 30 till 50, where they call, in human design terms, being on the roof. But actually, it's just you kind of pull back, and you might be aware of this or you might not. But what's happening in that time is the 6 line's going, wow, that was a lot. I don't know how to trust. I don't really know how to be in this world because I have this connection to other worlds. I know that there's something else here for us, but other people don't seem to know what I know. And then after 50 is really when you will feel the eyeballs on you. You will feel being watched as the time goes on. And so, if you do anything as a someone on the other, at post Chiron, it's like your actions are very watched in the store, out in the world, teaching, whatever you're doing, being in the work environment, you are being watched by people.
So one thing that you said that caught me, you said the wounded healer, and I started to see these three phases, is that 0 to 30 years is the wounding experience, and the 30 to 50 is almost like we go away and we lick our wounds, and like, I can't deal, this world is too difficult. I'm too sensitive for this world. And then after 50, hopefully, if we did that 30 to 50 years appropriately, I don't like the word right, but appropriately, we gain some wisdom from what we've learned, what we've observed. And then after 50, then this, that we're talking about the role model, then they could go out in the world with their natural wisdom, not as in we have to teach, but we're just, our beingness radiates what we've learned, what we've become out of that process.
Yes, and what I would add to that is that in that on the roof phase, it doesn't mean that things won't keep happening to you where you get a little wounded. Let's be clear about that. It's still, the wounding can still happen, and it can still happen post Chiron, where you have some really unusual events that happen to you. But the distinction I'd like to make for people to understand is many six-line profile people that I work with that are in that on the roof stage, they're like, but I want to teach, and I've got this message, and I've studied all of this, and I'm an expert at that. And they can put their work out in the world. Just the frequency, the transmission isn't as clean as it is post Chiron, particularly if they've done their inner work. So it's not like, well, you can't, quote unquote, do your work when you're on the roof. It's just that you won't have the same impact, that frequency, the transmission that I speak about, that we're natural transmitters. The sixth line is a natural transmitter. Their transmission will be stronger, cleaner, and more received. I noticed for myself, even my voice became clear. My presence became clear. I couldn't keep things to myself post Chiron as I could before. Like when somebody would do or that I was being compromised a little bit, I couldn't hold back anymore how I used to hold back.
Now that's a good point. So then in your class, it would probably be quite valuable for people to have that, the story of your experience and how you're not going to be able to resist blurting things out. You will be expressing your inner being, and you got to manage that, because there's going to be potential flyback that, whoa, what I just said, I can't believe I just said that. And
exactly. Learning really good communication skills, however you do that, through sales training or a counselor, or there's all kinds of books on how to communicate, how to deliver your messages so that they can be received. Negotiating skills, however you develop your communication, a sixth line, because we'll need that, because if they compromise, it damages them psychologically. If you have the sixth line on the personality side, on the black side, and in your body and in your form, if you have the sixth line on the red side, you're going to suffer the consequences of compromising. And where the block is right here at the throat. It's like, I got to tell people this doesn't work for me, or this would work for me, or let's talk about it, or let's look at this together. How can we come to something that's mutually beneficial? And I've seen this, particularly in some of the people in the class. It's like, well, I can't say anything. It's like, well, then that's a developmental issue. If you can't say anything, we've got to learn the communication tools so that you can take care of yourself and communicate the compromises that you're sensing that are happening or that need to be cleared up.
yeah, you bring up a really good point, and boy, I wished I knew this way years ago, because I would have worked more on my communication. I remember someone saying to me, "You just won't listen." I was like, yeah, That's true. I don't listen. And it was like I didn't want the external input from the world. I wanted to be in my own world. A book that I found along the way a few years before Chiron return that is a valuable resource, you're probably already familiar with it, is Marshall Rosenberg's work on nonviolent communication. That was life-changing for me. So in this class that you teach, do you give people, suggestions, resources, so you can kind of know where they are in their journey of what they need, for what they need?
Yeah, exactly. It's like what comes up, somebody might be dissolving a marriage, or somebody, wants to get in a relationship, or someone wants to take their work to the next level. So it really just depends on the individual. I offer them assistance, and they offer each other assistance, which is so great, is to give these 6-line people an opportunity to share their wisdom with people that are of like mind, with people that can totally resonate with, what someone who's had the same experience with them. It just came to me, it was like there was like 3 or 4 people that were 4-6 in the last class. And when one of them would speak, the other 3 would say, oh, my gosh, just your voice, I can just so relate to what you're saying. So there's a lot of community and compassion and connectivity that happens when 6-line people are together. And I know from my own personal experience with being with other 6-line people, nothing even has to be said. There's like a rest or a relaxation that happens when 6-line people come together.
So what you're saying then with this class that you're teaching, it's sounding to me almost like a 6-line mastermind. So everyone can learn from others.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, and when is your next class?
The next class is June 24th, and at 9 a.m. Pacific time. And people can call me at 619-787-8750, or they can go to my website, alignwithyourdesign.com, alignwithyourdesign.com, and it's right there on my homepage. You can just click, and it's called for the 6-line, the gathering and understanding of the 6-line. And I hope that more people will join us.
Oh, it's a value. You just bring so much value to your wisdom, life experience, and so I recommend people, if they're in that process of a 6-line and you're on the roof or off the roof, or you just want to be able to tune to someone who's done a lot of work on themselves, and ReGina has done that. So thank you, ReGina, for your time.
Thank you so much, Monique. It's a pleasure.
Bye for now.
Bye for now.